Hello, my name is Dhaval. Uh, Today I would like to walk you through the technical work that I have done on AutomationMart. It's our marketplace for automation workflows. So when I joined the project, there were issues across several parts of the platform. Broken listing, login problems, email delivery failures, and bugs of the platforms, right? I have grouped that work into 5 areas: uh, data quality, URL, routing, authentication, email, and seller experience. So let's move to next. Yeah, so first is N10 slug cleanup, right? So AutomationMart hosts automations from both make.com and N10. So while make.com listing already had readable URL slugs, N10 listening were using random numeric IDs. It result in a URL that weren't user friendly and hurt the SEO. So I wrote a migration script that generated readable slugs from each workflow and each workflow title and updated every N10 record. I also added redirects, so any existing bookmarked or indexed URL would continue working without returning 404 error. So then there is a some of the some of the make.com listing were returning 404. So this issue affected most of our make.com catalog. Over 7700 listings were returning 404 errors. So the cause was a middleware. It was like a middleware rule that removed numeric prefixes from a URL. So those prefixes were actually part of the stored database slug. So after the middleware modified the URL, the database looked up failed, right? So once I identified the root cause, the fix was simply removing the redirect rule. The URL now matches the database correctly, and all affected listing loads, right, as expected. Then the next is Google Auth, right? So Google Auth were returning 4502 error, right? So Google authentication had two independent issues. So those first was 502 error, right? So after login, Supabase returned JWT token that exceeded the NGNX default proxy buffer size. So it was causing NGNX to reject the response, and increase, so just increasing the proxy buffer resolved the problem, right? Second problem was incorrect redirects after successful login. So the callback route was building URLs from internal server addresses. It was causing users to be sent to localhost instead of the production site. So I updated the callback to use the forward host and protocol headers provided by the NGNX, and it ensured that user are redirect to the correct domain. Then there is then next was complete email overhaul, right? So the email system had three major problems. Sign up email were limited by Supabase free plan. Password reset emails were flagged by Gmail because domain mismatch, and the domains SPF and DKIM records were incorrectly configured. So I replaced the entire email pipeline with Resend, built the custom API routes for sign up, verification, and the password reset using the branded HTML emails, and corrected the DNS configuration by adding the SPF records and removing the duplicate DKIM entries. And this is how it got fixed. The next is reset password, right? So users attempting to reset their password always receiving invalid or expired link message. So the page only supported Supabase older authentication flow, while newer password reset links used PKCE flow. So our custom reset email also generated a different token format. So I rewrote the reset password so it correctly supports all three authentication flows, ensuring the password reset now works regardless of how the reset link was generated. Then we had, so when seller submitted a listing, a workflow diagram appeared to upload successfully, but the stored image path was null. So the issue was caused by the React race condition. So a second upload attempt could override the valid image path with null if it failed. So I added a upload regards to prevent duplicates uploads, and validated the image path before the submission. So it prevented the incomplete listing from being saved. So this is how it got solved. And the next is search drop down overlapping URL. So the search drop down on the home page was rendering behind the scene a section below it, making search results impossible to click. So this turned out to be a CSS stacking context issue caused by the transform applied after an animation. So adding a Z index to the search container elevated its stacking context, allowed the drop down to render above the surrounding content. So yes, across these five areas, I restored over 7,700 broken listings, fixed Google Auth logging and redirects, rebuilt the email system with Resend, and resolved password reset failures, and also fixed the seller workflow image upload bug. Right. So yeah, the next major milestone are integrating the Razorpay payments and completing a full end-to-end testing pass across the platform. So thank you so much for having me.